Hi guys, welcome to Investing with GYK. Today we'll discuss Tesla again. So I've started shorting Tesla at $300, and since then they have uh, come up with their. Uh, so I actually started the day before the conference call, 2 days before the conference call, and uh, they have recently released their Q1 numbers, and so I just decided to take a look at how Model 3 is doing. So I have mentioned previously that Tesla's gross margin is somewhat inflated in terms of the automotive gross margin is somewhat inflated, but that's the number that I keep pointing us at. I'm going to use their numbers straight, but just to keep in mind, uh, compared to other auto manufacturers, their gross margin does not include R&D, like per car R&D does not include the um, dealer markup. So part of that dealer markup will be used to maintain the dealerships, right? So you have to keep those in mind. So this is an upper bound of what can be achieved. Now these numbers are all coming directly from here. So if you're interested, you can see here in Tesla's investors communication, you have their delivery numbers, and in here in their 10Q, you can find their automotive sales. So I picked 2 quarters. Q2 2017, that's the last quarter they had before the introduction of Model 3. And that's when their gross margin, by their calculation, essentially was the highest. Um, so I included their lease revenue and lease cost as stated, but as I mentioned before, their lease numbers are a bit weird because their margin is much higher compared. So just refresh. If you look at the leasing margin, 170, 140. That's like a 60, sorry, it's almost like a 40% margin here, right? And that's clearly not 173 times dot 4, dot 6, sorry. Yeah, 40% margin on lease, but on sales, this is a 5, this is a 4, that's a 20%. So this is clearly very off. And also, even if you look at here, in 2017, second quarter, right, this is the same, very similar stuff. These two numbers, 175 or something, whoops, the other way around, 75433 divided by 272, 7864, 64, so 36%. But this is clearly not, that's a 26%, 27%, right? So you have to keep in mind this number is very misleading, but misleading in Tesla's favor. Okay, this numbers comes from here. They only delivered 22,000 vehicles. Model S and Model X are very similar in price. Yes, Model S is slightly cheaper, but they're all 100K cars. Average selling price is about 100K. So I'm just going to treat S and X the same. It's not going to make a material difference. So I divided the the revenue by the number of S and X sold in that quarter, and then you can get S and X is about 104K, which is in line with what we expect. These are 100K cars. And for 2018 first quarter, we have a mix of S, X, and 3. So assuming the same ASP, same average selling price applies for S and X, I obtained the S and X numbers in here. This is their news release for 2018 production and deliveries, and you can see this many S and this many X. Add them up. Well, you get this number. So multiply the number of S and X sold by the average selling price. I get the average sales price. Let's see if I can make this slightly format. Number. Okay. Yeah, so you can see that the sales number, the revenue from S and X is $2.2 billion. These are all thousands, by the way. All the numbers here are thousands, except the count. All the prices are thousands. And the gross profit is 632 million. Okay, so basically, if we subtract the total the S and X gross profit from the total gross profit, gross profit is this total revenue minus total cost, and if you can subtract the gross profit again, you should get the gross profit for Model 3, and that turned out to be negative $93 million. I computed the sale of Model 3 by, so these numbers, I just used the Model 3. I first figure out the sales by subtracting the S and X sales from the total sales. That gives you the Model 3 sales, which is about $470 million, divided by the number of Model 3 sold. So each Model 3 is basically selling at $57,000. Remember, this was promised as a $35,000 car. Now you're looking at $57,000. That is Mercedes E-Class level. Yeah, E-Class, the cheapest is 52. You can get a coupe for 58. So 52 plus some options probably for the E-Class sedan. So you're getting into a much higher price point than the 35,000 ones. Yeah. So, and also keep in mind, these are the fully loaded ones, right? As time goes on, they will have to sell the more bare bones Model 3. But in any case, given the negative $93 million of gross profit, you divide that by the number of Model 3 sold, you can see that they lose $11.42 thousand dollars per car. So I should add one more thing: Model 3 actual manufacturing cost, Model 3 COGS per car. That is $68.81 thousand. So each Model 3 actually costs, given the current configuration, obviously the there are option costs, right? So it's the bigger battery and all that stuff. But option costs, as a lot of you may know, have I mean, the options have a higher gross margin than the actual car. So a lot of auto manufacturers make more money on options than the actual cars. Now, so that means anything above the 35K are supposed to be like the more lucrative ones. And as the price decreases, your profit margin would actually decrease, not just proportionally, not just not just profit declining proportionally, but also the margin. Margin is just a percentage of that profit. And looking at this number, how are you going to drive? Like for me, I just don't see Tesla being able to almost halve the halve the cost, manufacturing cost, in order to sell a Model 3 at $35,000 with a profit. Keep in mind, this does not account for R&D. It does not account for their selling centers. I don't know what they call it. The Tesla's own dealerships, essentially. It does not account for those costs. Those go in. I think that goes in sales and sales, marketing, and administration, all that, which is why their SG&A are so ginormous, right? The SG&A alone eats up the gross profit. Yeah, more than eats up the gross profit. So yeah. And so this is one of my thesis, is that the more Model 3s Tesla sell in the future, the more losses they will make. And obviously, as they ramp up production itself, you should get some more economy of scale use because you take depreciation in here as well. So they may be able to drive down the cost here, but until I can see this thing dropping to 50K, it's still a very pointless situation, because given that, if they were able to somehow maintain the 57K average selling price, you can get your 7K gross profit. With that 7K per car, you need to do R&D, you need to do the dealership, and on top of that, you have to worry about warranty, and that's all coming out of that $7,000. So yeah, it's one of the reasons I'm shorting Tesla at the moment. I actually came up with a shit ton of material that I want to cover on Tesla, and today I can only cover the Model 3 gross profit, or gross margin in this case, Model 3 gross margin story. See you next time.